So welcome to how to storytell for winning business. Storytelling can just come in so many different formats, whether that's from, your business to business and you're doing presentations, whether it's talking to people and having discovery calls, whether it's for social media, for your funnel. It just comes into everything. Storytelling is a great way for you to really be able to connect with your audience, because what content marketing does, as we've covered in previous training, it's a way for you to really be able to connect with your prospect, connect with your customer. So today we're really going to look at, crafting your approach to presentations, creating effective presentations, and lastly, learn the essential skills of presentation skills. So I've used the word presentations, but I use it loosely. If you're a coach or you're a consultant, you might use presentations in a group environment. You might use presentations because you do corporate coaching or consulting, so it's business to business. So you might use presentations to pitch. You might use presentations involved in a lead magnet if you are doing webinars. You might do a presentation if you're having a brand awareness, a launch party. There's so many different reasons why you use presentations, and presentations aren't just a corporate thing. So I use the word presentation, but understand, even if you had an e-commerce product, we have a tea company on here, we have women's loungewear on here, you might think, well, I don't really use presentations. Well, it could be that you're doing a presentation on a new range that you're launching. It could be a live that you're doing on Instagram. It's still a form of a presentation. You're still putting something out there and updating your audience. Even if it's a video on a sales page, even if it's a promotional video launching a product or educating your marketplace about why they should use your product. What is it about your loungewear? What is it about your tea? So it's applicable to e-commerce as well. It's not just coaches and consultants. And I really want you to understand that. So what's the most memorable presentation that you've ever experienced? I want you to really think about that. For me, there's been so many presentations that I've done, that I've seen, that I actually take away with me. So I've had the pleasure of going to see Michelle Obama when she was at South Bank, and she spoke about her life story. One would say, well, that's not a presentation, but it was a presentation. It's a form of a presentation, and it was absolutely captivating. The order it went into, what she spoke about, showing her vulnerability, being honest, learning things that I never thought that she would talk about in an environment like that. I'm just saying, it was memorable for me. So what do I take about that I bring back into when I'm doing presentations? And actually, for me, it was her vulnerability. It was the ability to talk about things, problems in her marriage that you wouldn't expect the First Lady to speak about, and understanding and actually seeing in front of me the power of vulnerability, knowing it, but actually seeing it. So for whatever the reason is, just think about what's the most memorable presentation that you have experienced, and think about, why do we present? We present to communicate. It might seem obvious, but it's a way for us to get a message out there. We communicate to be able to persuade others, educate others. And we also present to give instruction. So again, presentations are just so many different formats. It might be that there's a special way of brewing the tea. So with that, you have to do a video presentation to when people buy your tea, so they know how to make the tea, how to brew it, and how to get the most out of it. That could be a ritual that no one didn't know about. That's an instruction. So presentations come in very, 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 very many different forms. Okay, you could be teaching someone about content writing. You're gonna have to put instructions together for them. So what you might present, so you might be presenting an investment pitch, like I said, an interview, a case study, a lesson plan, a project portfolio. There's so many different things. I've given you so many examples already of the things that you might present. What might you not present? This is not a webinar today of talking about presenting things like company account, performance reviews, meeting notes. So sometimes when we think of presentations, we do think of, very corporate, rigid, PowerPoint, blue tie. It's not. A presentation is a form of actually telling a story, and that's what we don't understand. The presentation gives you the power, and we're looking into this more into the webinar. It gives you the power to use visuals. It gives you the power to use video, visuals, graphics. These are all things that engage your audience and make what you're talking about visual. And that is one of the best powers of a presentation. So, ask yourself, what type of presentation is this? And what you don't want to do is get into that delivering a presentation. At all times, you want to tell a story. Okay, so what are the story types? So the best ways that you're going to tell a story is by looking at the origin of the story, the future vision of it, and the failure and success of it. And what you will find is most Hollywood stories actually will follow this format and the realization. So when you look at a story, I often use Lion King as a really good example. Every movie has the same elements to it. You introduce the characters. After introducing the main characters, you'll then introduce what the adversity is, what the problem is. So, you get this wonderful intro of the lion, the kingdom, the dad, Simba, who's going to take over at some point. And then after that, you meet the evil uncle. He wants to be king. The problem's now presented in the story. Then comes the time for adversity. That's when Simba goes off because he thinks he's killed his dad and he goes to Kuma Matata. Can you tell that I've watched this film quite a lot of times? But it goes through adversity. And then he has a realization and then he comes back to overcome that adversity, whether that outcome is sad or that outcome is heroic, celebratory, whatever the case may be. But all films will follow that format. And your story needs to follow a similar format. So what's the origin of it? Sorry. Is it when you started your business? How did you start your business? It was with a laptop in a garage, and now you have workspaces in 30 countries across the world. What's the future vision? Your vision is your marketing business is to grow and to have a goal of 30 offices, countries worldwide. What is the vision for why you're telling the story? There's always a why. Failure or success. My first couple of attempts at starting my marketing business failed as I didn't have the right target market. A lot of people's problems. I learned from my mistakes and now have offices in 30 different countries. Okay. A lot of times when I speak on stage and I'm speaking about being successful and being and inspiring and motivating others, I'm actually talking about my failures in life, but how those failures turned into successes. And the realization, what's the realization in the presentation that you're giving? An example, I've been in the finance industry for 15 years when I went to talk on marketing strategies and realized that I wanted to start my own marketing company and expand into many different companies. So a realization came where actually I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to be in the finance industry. I want to be in marketing. So these are the basic story types. It could be an origin of where you're coming from, what your future vision is, your failure or success is, or your realization, or actually all of them together, depending on the scenario. So why do we present? So even if you are presenting something like, something really boring, a budget report, company updates, an idea pitch, something creative. Why do we present? What is the goal of actually presenting? And like I said, presenting comes in so many different forms, whether it's from an instruction, whether it's from a social media post or video, whether it's from doing a webinar. It doesn't matter. It's a form of presentation. So always be clear on what the goal is. And even when we do content marketing and we talk about call to actions, it's no different. And I want you to start thinking about when you are doing any form of video or you are presenting anything, what is the goal? What is the objective? Because it's really easy in this digital world to do things and actually not understand the objective and just do them because you think it's an algorithm or something scientific that you just have to follow in this digital marketing social media world. It's not. What do you want your audience to think about? What do you want them to think? What is the objective? What do you want them to feel? How do you want them to feel? The tea company, do you want them to feel, after listening to your presentation, understanding the history of tea and it's, the culture and the African traditions and what they mean and how it can be life-changing, is a way for them to obviously buy a product from you. So when do you want them to feel it? How do you want them to feel? These are all the things that you really need to think about, because sometimes what happens with the presentation is we just start going into this corporate structure of beginning, middle, and end, and it starts to get really robotic. Does that make any sense? Like, what's the one thing that you want them to take away? And these are the things when you're really putting a presentation together, and what makes a presentation stand out are those that think outside the box. And you'll think outside the box when you really think about, what do I want the listener, end user, the person watching this to take away? So you have to be able to use a basic structure and flow. So basic structure and flow. You're always going to have a background to who you are, what you're talking about. You always want to be able to understand what the problem is, and what the solution is. So again, these are all stuff that have been covered before in content marketing. And this is a key part of you making your marketing really successful. We have a copywriter on here with us right now, and that's what copywriting does. You've got to connect with your audience, but to connect with your audience, whether you're doing a presentation or any form of content, you have to understand what is the problem that the person watching or listening to has. What's the problem your customer or prospect has? How can you serve them? What's the solution? That solution should be your product or service, but what's the solution? And what's the conclusion? What does their life, what does it look like once you've put the solution into play? What's the conclusion? What's the outcome? Maybe you sell a health product that helps you to be healthy, live longer, and lose weight. The conclusion is you feel better about yourself, you're more confident, and you're the best version of you. And when you're looking at, you have to make sure that you research and plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. Research is really, 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 really important. Because for you to know what background you're going to talk about, what problem that you're going to talk about, and what solution you're going to offer, you need to have done research, whether that's research within your own community, marketplace, and customers, or it's research, from a competitors. If you haven't got that research of your own customer and audience, you need to research. And with that research, you need to have a plan. If you've got a plan, your presentation is going to go a lot better, because it means at all times you can really be able to serve who's listening to you, and making sure that you are achieving your objective within the presentation. Design is absolutely key in terms of branding. No one wants to watch a presentation or watch your background or look at something that hasn't got your brand guidelines and what your brand objective is. It just all becomes disjointed. The congruency goes, the consistency goes without a good brand. And what happens? The trust has gone, sorry to say. So you're not just telling a story, you're telling us a story, meaning you're telling your audience a story. Okay? And understand that you want to be able to connect with who it is that you're talking to. So whether you are in a boardroom and you're business to business and you've got corporate clients, or you're sitting, you might be on this presentation because you're a marketer, understand your audience and understand who you're talking to. Whether you're on a stage, whether you're on a video, whether you're on a YouTube, understand who the listener is so you can talk to them directly. So let's take a look at building effective presentations. First thing you need to do is choose your program. So when we're talking about visuals, what do I mean by that? So are you going to be using something like Google Slides? Are you going to be using Microsoft PowerPoint? Are you going to be using Prezi? Are you going to be using Apple Note? Are you going to be using Facebook Live and Zoom, just like how I am now? Are you going to be using YouTube? A presentation isn't just about these applications, but generally the visuals and the design of what you're presenting are very, very important, especially in this digital age. People consume information so much more easier through graphics. So even if you was doing a social media post, just the ability to be able to, we make videos all the time here at Women in Digital Business, and we make sure we make them actually, it will cut from what I'm saying to an image of something that relates to what I'm saying. It breaks up just seeing me on the screen, just talking. And it means what I'm talking about now lands a lot more better in that person's mind. Okay, makes sense? So it could be that it's, your visual aid you're using is editing and you're putting graphics and images in. Okay, even now, what we're doing right here, right now, this lesson will actually go out onto YouTube and it will be edited, but you're gonna have all the decks and slides that are branded. You can see the Women in Digital Business. And if you look at all of our training material, it has a consistent brand. So all the videos you see on YouTube will have a consistency in terms of the fonts used, the colors, the layout, the design, our logo. Okay, so design is actually really, 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 really key when you're presenting and you're telling a story. Can't stress that enough. So just think about what program you're going to use. Try not to swap and change. You know, when you're looking at presentations in terms of graphics, and especially if you are a coach and consultant, you will be using design software such as Google Slides. Google Slides are really, really great with working with other presentations. You can back your work up quickly. Simply because you're working online, you can work collaboratively and you can access it anywhere as long as you're online. And you can also download it into PowerPoint as well. You can choose different things. So maybe you don't have a whole team to do branding. You can easily, you know, bring your branding into it by picking a theme that you always pick. So this is another good thing about using software as well. Okay. You know, just things like these might be small things. You might be thinking, what is she banging on about now? Oh yeah, I came here just to learn about storytelling. But these are the little details that will make people not trust you. So let's say you are presenting and you've got some decks, depending on what the presentation is, like I said, and you've got untitled presentation, or you've sent a quote out. Okay, I send quotes out all the time using either Canva or PowerPoint. And imagine if that, you know, presentation just had the person's name on it. I don't know. Let's say you were sending your presentation to someone called Becky, and it just said Becky presentation on it. Wouldn't it look a lot better if it had the company name, Becky's full name on it, and an official title so they knew what the presentation is? It's just like when you see a URL on a website and it's got numbers and dots and it hasn't got the company name in it, and instantly you think, these are little telltale things. Does that make any sense? That really going to cement the trust. Even just things like, you know, the slide backgrounds, the layouts, the themes, transitions. You know, these are all the things that's going to help someone, especially in business to business, make up their mind whether they want to buy into whatever it is that you're selling through this presentation, because that's why we use presentations. So understand that what I'm speaking about, even though we're looking at Google Slides, PowerPoint, Prezi, and these are all softwares that's usually associated in being in a corporate environment, it's not just for that environment. You will be shocked and surprised to know how many times in your business you're going to use presentations, or you're going to use the framework of what I'm talking about, even if you're not using PowerPoint, Prezi, Canva, Google Slides. It doesn't matter. You know, in everything you do, this is what Women in Digital Business is about. Ladies, it's time to get strategic. It's one of the problems why we often don't get ahead. The strategy of what we do has to be in everything. So there's a professionalism in the output and the results. There's a trust that can be built with you and your end user. You know, the digital world enables us to actually make our business look like big corporations, those such as, you know, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. I'm being deadly serious. Our websites, the designs, the fonts, the language we use, but the attention to detail has to be there, because if it's not, that's what will break the trust. So, you know, make titles impactful. I've been speaking about this for weeks now. Presentation, social media posts, content, full stop. It doesn't matter what you do. Sales pages. Your title needs to be impactful, because that's what gets people's attention to make sure they're listening to you. Use as little text as possible. I was recently asked to do a proposal for a company that I absolutely adore, just got a lot of belief. I'm really passionate about them. And we've been given the opportunity to actually put a training proposal together for them, for us to go into their organization. And I had to be really careful with this one because I was so excited. Like, you could see the steam coming out from my fingernails on the keyboard. And I had to really go back and say, do you know what? The reader of this is not going to want loads of text. And especially when I go to present it to them, I've sent it to them as a framework, plus I'm going to present it. No one's going to sit there in a group environment, whether they're, you know, opening up, whether you're presenting it, and read all that text. It needs to be clear, concise, and to the point. And use as few slides as possible. Again, something I find really hard. But, you know, think about the end user or the person that's consuming this information. Okay. For instance, this presentation today, I don't know if you can see the bar on the bottom of my screen. There's 76 slides. Don't necessarily follow my example of this. But again, because I know the volume of information that I'm giving, I don't want to be spending too long on each slide. See what I mean? So now it's time to really just boost your presentation skills. Don't be frightened of them. I don't know if you knew this. One of the biggest fears that a lot of people have is actually speaking, by the way. And what the digital world has done is it has made it more comfortable. So I've been in this game for a long time. And I remember the first time I had to get up and speak on stage. And I used to do it week in, week out with Google. But the very first time I did it, I remember I was sweating. I was out of breath. You're saying the words. I could feel my heart going 10 to the dozen. So to slide or not to slide, when I started to produce and write my own content, the slides are actually a pointer for me. Some people don't like that. It might be that they have to have notes that they look at, or prompters. So just think about your style and what suits you best. Okay. But yeah, to slide or not to slide, just ask yourself, do you want to just slide? Do you want to have notes that you look at? Do you just want to have words? When I first started, I just have one word, especially if I'm delivering somebody else's content. With your own content, you actually know what's coming, so it's a little bit different. But I very much build my decks and slides out because they're prompters for me, as well as me educating my audience. So other tools that you might have, in a live environment, and I can't wait to get back out there and do some live environments. For those of you that are in the Empower program, one of the things that I'm really, really will be doing, not I'm thinking of doing, I will be doing, positive. I teach this stuff. And do you see the language I was about to use? We might be doing, no, we will be doing, is some type of live conference this year where we get to sit in a room and speak with each other. And I love a whiteboard. I love drawing out what I'm talking about. I'm a very visual person. I'm dyslexic. I'm a visual learner. That's how I learn. So whiteboards are a really great way of, even if I'm talking to you around the room and your business is based at something else and I want to draw out a funnel related specifically to you, whiteboards are a fantastic way to really be able to just draw out what you're thinking and engage your audience, as are flip charts. Some people prefer pen and paper. Still, they got the same thing. Handouts. For many of you that have been in this community, whether you're in our membership site or you're not in our membership site and you're just in our Facebook group, at Women in Digital Business, we love a handout. All the challenges we do. For those of you on the Empower program, after every lesson, you get a worksheet and a handout because it keeps you on track. Handouts are great. Think about it. If you're listening to something, you're reading something and then you're writing notes as well, that information actually retains a lot better because you're using more handouts. Using more handouts, you're using more senses. When you use 2 or more of your senses, information will sink in more fact. And handouts are a great way to brand and market yourself and put some call to actions on there. Or actually, you might think none at all. Okay. Just think about what tools could you give or have that's going to help you achieve the objective of your presentation. Think about how we started today. It's about the objective of the presentation. Okay. So next we want to look at you. What type of presenter do you want to be? I love this image. Inamar designer. That's what I mean. We have a really strict brand guideline. I love it. I love this image. Sorry, just letting the team know. So now it's all about you. What type of presenter do you want to be? Think about how to adapt to your audience. So like I said, when I used to do a lot of live speaking, even when I speak now for organizations, I have to think, who is my audience, and I'll adapt it. So I'll give you a very good example. Our community is women. So I am very much used to speaking to women and being a straight talker, having no problem showing vulnerability, sharing my strengths, my weaknesses, myself, my soul, because I'm in an environment of sisterhood, love, and I'm in a very uplifting environment. Let's say I've been asked to do something in the corporate world and my audience now has men in it. Instantly, I would not be the same way. I would adapt to my audience. Make sense? Or if I've been asked to go into a school and I'm speaking to someone that hasn't got the same understanding, or maybe I'm working with a business that, they're more e-commerce and they've invented their product and they're not really from a marketing background. So me using marketing buzzwords and, talking about what's trending, funnels, CTAs, call to actions, that's not being very thoughtful to my audience. Does that make sense? So you very much need to be able to adapt to your audience. Think about your voice. You know, maybe you're at a personal fitness conference and you really want an aggressive style of, you know, get there, do it, sergeant, major, get to it, up, down, because that's what you need to be able to push you to do it. You know, maybe, you know, you're at a mental health talk, or you're thinking about, you know, getting some help in terms of mental health. It's a big issue right now. You know, think about the voice of the person speaking. Do you want someone really authoritative and I told you to? You don't. For me, with what I do, my tonality is I'm a straight talker. I've been in this game and failed enough times and had to brush myself and get up time and time, more times as I care to remember. But those failures of what's made me the person today, and failing is how you learn. But I've got a very, this is how it is, straight to the point, no BS type of style of voice, because I don't want to elude any of you down a path of thinking that, you know, having your own business and reaching 6-7 figures is some life of, you know, the secret garden and walking in a fairy tale, because to be quite frank, it's not. It takes a lot of determination, grit, desire. And again, the missing thing that, you know, took me years to really learn before things turned around for me was strategy, thinking strategically. Us entrepreneurs suffer from shiny object syndrome. We're here, we're there, we're trying to start this thing, that thing. You know, we put all our heart and soul and effort into something, we don't get the results. So we'll figure out, oh, let me do another way of trying it. So just think about your voice. Think about, you know, the objective that you want to achieve. Think about what's your audience going to like? What does your audience need from you? How do they want you to communicate to them? Okay. And consider your body language. You know, if whether you're on a, you know, let's just say you was on a video, because many presentations don't even happen live anymore. A lot of times they will be on a video. You know, making sure that you've got the right stance. Even then I said it, I don't know if you can see, I kind of sat up in my chair because I was slouching. You know, simple things, never pointing. You don't point, you know, you put your hand out to make sure that you're serving your audience. Just simple body language, you know, not having closed fists. Keeping eye contact. Even now, I'm looking at my screen and speaking, but every now and again, I will think to myself, let me look into the camera. You know, if I was in a live audience, that would be me looking around the room, and I deliberately connect with people. That's why in the beginning, I'll say, turn your cameras on, because I want to see you. I like to connect. I like to know who's there. So just consider your body language. I'm very theatrical with my body language because I'm really passionate about what I'm saying. I believe in what I'm saying. I'm really, really, I want to achieve and serve. I'm so passionate that it very much comes out with the way that I'm always, you know, my tonality, my voice, the pace. Sometimes I learn, I've got to take it down. So just consider your body language, your voice, your pace, your tone, who you're speaking to, and practice. Practice just makes permanent. I can't stress that enough. I look back at videos. I actually sent a throwback video to our team of my very first video of telling my story. And when I rewatched it, it was only, I think, a week ago. I sent it to Hiran. I'm not sure if he's on the call. She's our social media manager and does some video editing. When I looked it up, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm so aggressive and I'm speaking so fast. My passion at the time, I could tell that I was really passionate, but watching it back on a lot more of an experienced me and having to look back all those years ago, it was just like, calm down, love. I was really aggressive. You've just got to keep practicing. You've just got to just do it and put yourself out there. You're never going to avoid, by the way, not putting yourself out there. And for every time you put yourself out there, you're going to have to adapt to your audience. You have no idea how many times that I will be presenting at big exhibitions, expos, on behalf, the content's not my content. And I would be speaking, and I know that I'm looking around my audience. So even on this particular day, and what you can see on the screen, my audience, they sent me to deliver a presentation about how to use digital marketing when starting or growing your business. Every person in that audience, just to let you know, came from a business. So they were there in some form of working in marketing, but for someone else. So even just the whole tense, even of the words written on the screen, doesn't match up because it's not their business, so to speak. So you have to adapt to that. I had to use different examples. There was times on this day that I would look up at the screen and I would think, well, that's just not applicable. But I had to make it into my own, tell a story, and just give examples. So you have to be able to adapt with your audience, and that really will come in time. And reduce crowds to conversations. Okay, because remember, when I say reduce crowds to conversation, you're now you versus many. Okay, your presentation could be just to one person. Like I said, there's nothing set in stone. Like when you use the word presentations, you do tend to think of corporate, boardroom, or on a stage. The world's changed. We're in digital. It could be a video. All of what I'm talking about still applies. You know, I'm here now. You guys are plotted all around the world. How do I make what I'm saying into my computer into conversations? How do I reduce the number of you to feeling like, okay, this is a conversation to one person? Because in my mind, what I'm putting out, I feel like I'm talking to all of you individually. And that's the same feeling that you need to have when you're delivering. Think about, you know, connecting with your audience as opposed to it's just a group of people. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, just to give you plain clarity, when I say reduce crowds to conversation, you want to make people feel like you are speaking to them. And by doing that, that's where I like to show vulnerability and be able to talk about myself, laugh at myself, and talk about my failures and what I've learned about them, just to be able to just connect one-on-one. And as people are sitting listening, they lower their guard as well. You know, try and get that audience participation. I've tried here today. I came on and I said, can everybody take their put their cameras on? I want to see you. Obviously, you can't do that, so that wasn't possible. You know, this works, whether it's like this presentation was built for live audiences. It doesn't matter that we're in the digital world. I came on and generally I wanted to know where you dialing in from. I wanted to know your names. What do you do? You know, so far I've mentioned the 3 people that told me what they do. I've mentioned it on this webinar because I did say, if you let me know what you do, it means that as I'm delivering, I can draw on examples. So you want to interact, you want to ask questions. You don't want to talk at your audience non-stop. That's how you go from talking to a crowd to having a conversation with one. You know, questions. I can see one in the Q&A. I've already said we're going to get back to that because it's about the membership site. I can see that there's 13 comments in the chat. I'm delivering, but the lovely Aria, my community manager, is here that can answer question and is typing things into the chat that I need to. You know, just being appreciative. I'm appreciative that every single one of you turned up here today. I'm appreciative that you're here listening to me. God knows my heart's full of gratitude for that. And, you know, following up. Come on, ladies, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. If you haven't seen other webinars and training that's been run these last few weeks that have covered how to maximize your profits, covered branding, content marketing, setting goals, go to YouTube. Never make up the answer. Okay? And just listening, just active listening, acknowledging. Acknowledging is when you're in a loud audience and you know, you can look at someone and you might be talking, or someone might have said something in the comment box and you acknowledge it, you get it, you understand it, you embrace it. Now that's empathy right there. And again, all these things can be created digitally. This is not just for live environments. This is not just for straight corporate presentations. Even if you're in a video or you're on a live, how many times have you been on a live? I've been on loads of lives where I'm so feeling hearing what the person is saying. I've been in my Zoom meetings and I do the same thing. You know, you do the little heart symbol just to let the person know that you're acknowledging. You can do the same thing back to your audience. You have to be able to listen. That's something that is a great gift of being able to listen, not just speak. Because when you listen, especially if you've got a sales presentation or you're pitching, by listening to your potential customer, client, prospect, is the more that you're going to learn. It's going to make you better. And avoid content overload. You know, make sure there's value being given. Tailor the story so it's relevant to the audience. You know, even today, I could go in and deliver this to a corporate that are just using PowerPoint and how to put PowerPoint presentations together. But it's not. It's also about storytelling, about telling your why, how you can use that in your brand values, how you can use that on social media posts, how you can use that on lead magnets and webinars, how you can use that on instructions, sales pages, because we are using presentation skills to better our business. So I need to tailor what I'm doing to the relevance of the audience, your business owners. You know, focus. Remember the 3 key things to say for each slide. Like I said, for me, if you notice, what have we got on this slide? 1, 2, 3 things. They tell you what I'm talking about. They make it visual, and they also keep me on track. Make sense? So this is a great way for those of you that are like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there. I know, but I just want to be able to sell, but I don't want to do videos. I don't want to do social media. I don't really like putting myself out there. I'm so sorry. You're going to have to get over that, because you're going to have to put yourself out there. But, you know, using maybe presentation decks is a great way for you to speak and put yourself out there more, because the presentation will guide you. It will be your notes as well as keeping your audience engaged. Make sense? And pause and take a breath before each slide to record. Yeah, where I get really excited, there are times where I really will get on my soapbox, and I think the spirit takes over me, and I'm like, this is what happened to me, this is what I didn't understand. You know, you have to get technical, you have to get strategic, you have to do this. And there are times that I will, any of you that watch my lives know that I just get overwhelmed with passion of what I'm speaking about, and really making sure that you don't make the same mistakes of me, and highlighting what's important. And when I feel myself getting to that place, I've got to think to myself, take a breath, slow it back down again, let's come back on track. But that rhythm of, you know, the up down, it's a bit like a workout class with me. That might not work in another environment. I'm just trying to give you examples. So pace and pausing, they are all really important. Your voice is a powerful tool. You can raise it to the roof and get powerful. You can bring it down and be really understanding. Your voice is a really, really, really powerful tool. It's got tones, it's got pitches, and you can use that to really be able to connect with your audience in regardless of what the setting is. Understand the power within your voice. We've all got a voice, we've all got something to say. Use it, because it's the difference of your business being its best and it not being where, you know, you need it to be. So think about things like the volume. Think about things like the style of it. Think about things like the tonality, the pace, okay? Because out of you, we covered this in branding, out of you is born your business. Your brand is an extension of you. So, you know, if your pace is someone that, you know, is very quiet, very humble, does that make any sense? I'll say that I'm not humble, it's not what I meant, but if the key attributes of you, that's your pace, that's your style, that's your tone. That's your volume, not to be so loud and out there. That's you. People buy people. Your brand is an extension of you. And in the first instance, people will know you, not your brand. Okay? Using your body language. It doesn't matter whether we're in the digital world. Your body language is just as important online as it is offline, whether that's your facial expressions, okay? Whether that is the arms, regardless of what it may be. Perfect example. What do you think reels are? Reels are people online now using body language to be able to convey what they might have done on a stage, but online. You know, the here we are today. You need to. They're creating atmospheres. They're creating energy. They're creating the importance of what they're doing for the missing senses that they've got being digitally here and not being live anymore. You know, this whole online world and this whole digital world is about figuring out and translating and being innovative of how do I do what I used to do before traditionally live, and whether that's to do with business, traditional marketing, you know, presentations. How do I translate that in this new digital world? How does that work? How do I change my business model around that? You know, it's all about innovation. It's all about thinking outside the box. So trust me when I say body language still exists. Doesn't matter whether it's the digital world or not. You know, make sure you're confident. You're confident and you're credible. Be honest. Be genuine. Like I said, that vulnerability is a really powerful thing. I trust you. I'm going to call me out before I have somebody else call me out. So I prefer to be the one that's going to call myself out. And in doing that as well, it just makes you, there's something really therapeutic about it. It just makes you accept you for who you are. Like Mary J. Blige would say, I'm just fine. I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. I like me. I'm happy with me. It takes a long time to get to that place and stage. And that happens with being honest and genuine. And when that does happen. People buy into you. They love your vibration. They love your energy. There's nothing wrong with being honesty, even if it's showing, you know, our worst state, our failures, or things we didn't do quite right. It actually makes us human. And that humanity is what makes us genuine. You know, being friendly, being relatable, really, really important. You are your brand. You're not a global brand yet, so people don't know who you are. So you are a representation of your brand and of your business. So it's really important that you're friendly and relatable to who you're speaking to. Okay, makes sense. And, you know, be passionate and energetic. And you know, passionate and energetic looks different for different businesses, for different people, for different brands, because it depends on your core values. You know, being passionate isn't just about being this raging fire and being really energetic and jumping up and down. It can be shown in so many different ways, if that makes any sense. But it's just really, it is, I can't stress it enough. It's just really, really important that you get you across, that you use the attributes that you've got, you use your voice, you use your tonality, you use all of it. And just look at power poses. I put this in. I need to find different versions of women for Wonder Woman. But yeah, us women, we are the biggest CEOs and Wonder Women going. The amount of things that we do is unreal, from businesses to mums, to daughters, to nieces, to go-tos, to community leaders, to team leaders, to inspiring, to motivating, to being a wife. There's so many things that we do alongside having to run our own business. We are Wonder Women. Use that power in your presentations. I want to see you use that power in your business. Many of us can be really, really quiet, not outspoken. And so many of us women in different ways, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, a lot of us lack self-confidence. A lot of us have imposter syndrome. Start to understand your power and let that power pose come out when you are doing presentations, videos, speaking to people, and you are telling anything, anyone your why. Okay, for some of you, be the performer that you are. You know, some of you have got a big personality. You know, some of you have got a lot to say. Use it. Don't shy away from it. Be the performer. So just think about what your power pose is. Okay. I literally like to think of myself as a Wonder Woman, just not one that looks like that. Be mindful. Again, this is very much true of, you know, being in a live environment. Be mindful of your stance, how you stand. Like if you are live, women have got this tendency to always put a hand on a hip, you probably can't see me in the camera, and kind of lean to one side. You know, think about your stance. Even me, I just did it again. I sat up. You know, I took my background off today because sometimes you lose ears, you lose a piece of your face. And I just thought, you know, it is what it is. But the stance is probably having a better background than what I've got at the moment. I mean, my office, it was a tip. I had to actually turn the laptop round. That's not a very good example of me having a stance, by the way. But your stance is, you know, what is in the background? How do you want to make people feel? Does that make any sense? Like your stance is you giving off. So down to what it might even be in what you're wearing. Again, I'm not a good example of that today either, because I'm in my gym clothes. But again, you know, I think you understand what I mean by stance, because it depends on what you're doing. You could be doing a video where actually you're standing up and you're in full view. Just be mindful of it. That's all. Movement. I've been told on so many different occasions, you know, that the hands, like, calm down. I can't help it. I'm just excited. That's me. That's a part of my personality. If I'm on the stage, I'm someone that will use the space on the stage. So if I've done videos in the past and they're being recorded and I am on a platform, I'm going to use that space. I'm going to take it up. There are times where I'll be telling my story on stage, even through video, and I'll use props, you know, and just be mindful of actually connecting. Like I said, whether it's in a room and you're connecting eye contact, whether I'm looking through the camera, whether I'm saying, hang on a moment, I want to look in the chat because I want people to know I understand you put in the chat something in the chat and I want to acknowledge it. I'm connecting. Okay, so just be mindful of all these things and practice, because practice makes permanent. So just ask yourself, what kind of presenter will you be? Okay. And, you know, what are your next steps from here? You might feel to yourself, okay, I've never really looked at presentations like that before. I don't want you to go and get a presentation, and you don't need one, by the way, but think about what are your next steps? What is it that you've learned here today that you can take and implement? Is it a video about your brand story and your why so people know it and you can present? Maybe it's putting together a pitch because you're doing business to business. Okay, like I said, it could be your next steps for the tea company is actually you're going to start doing some presentations and videos on how to brew tea, how to use the tea, and you can take what you've learned today to really polish what that content will look like and what the objective of each presentation stroke video is. Make sense? So what are your next steps? There was a lot of information given out here today, and it's not just for corporate standing up teaching off of a PowerPoint. I don't know if that makes any sense. This can be adapted to so many different things. So think about your next steps. And I really hope you got some nuggets and takeaways today in terms of telling a story, how to present yourself, and just the power of storytelling, and that how that power actually comes from you within, down to your voice, understanding who your audience is. There's so many different elements that go into it. But what I do want to talk to you about now is empower. Now, some of you might have heard this before because you've been on previous trainings that I've run. And at the moment, Empower actually got launched in December 2021. And Empower is a program that I've put together. Okay, it's a program that gives you the strategy to really be able to get your business to where you want it to be. Because as underrepresented women, we are starting businesses at the fastest rate of any other group. Okay, problem is we are getting the least support. And one of the supports that we lack the most is guidance, is support, is mentorship, and it comes in a very strategic format. You see, us women have got a grit and a tenacity, and once we've got a desire to do something, by God Almighty, we're going to do it. And what happens is that desire can just mean you're constantly trying, and on that road to getting to where you want to be, it just becomes tiring of trying something, trying the same thing, implementing things, listening, and not getting the results that you want. And for many of us that come from backgrounds where we're not taught this stuff in school, we don't come from a family or a background, we often feel that we live in an unjust world, that we have to work harder than what the average person has to work because of our background, because of shortcomings in our blueprints. It means that we just don't get the strategic support we need. And it's not until I started to think on a real strategic level of, okay, where am I? Who is my customer? What's the journey am I going to take them on? What's the competitor information? But not this business plan that you get on a template online, or some non-profit organization, or even a big corporation that said, we invested in helping blah, blah women, but they're not actually giving you the answers that you need to be able to get ahead. It's a real strategic thinking and approach of, okay, where am I? What have I got? Who is my audience? Who am I talking to? What is my core offer? What's my automation process? How do I mix digital and make a process that can manage itself? How do I grow? How do I make profit? You know, you want direct answers to direct questions that pertain to your business, not to me being some coach or some course creator that says, I've made 7 figures, just follow what I do. You cannot follow what I do. You have to follow what you do. But what you do need is a framework that you can follow that really keeps you on track. Because otherwise, SOS, shiny object syndrome, always looking for something exciting, not getting to where you want to be, it just means that you just end up being everywhere than where you should be. So that's what the Empower program is about. Okay, it's a 12-week program. It's a 12-week program that I put together to really help you strategically. And everybody that's joined so far is a founding member, and that is about to change. Some of you was on the call last week, and I explained to you that I'm a certified partner for digital marketing. So I'm a part of a mastermind. We all have to learn that you have to invest in yourself and educating yourself. The problem is, in this world, there's many people that know that, and there's many programs out there. And I joined a number of those programs, and I definitely didn't always get served. So I've spent huge sums of money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds. Let's get to the point of money on different programs where I'm looking for something because I need some help. I need to get ahead. And I just wasn't getting what I needed. I would always get nuggets, but nothing that would just give me the full picture. Makes sense. So that's why I really put this program together. But when I had to present to them my customer value journey and my strategic map for my business, and I went through it, after I finished, like the whole call was just quiet. And these guys are a lot bigger than me. These guys have got 7-figure businesses, and they have done for like 10-year plus. We're talking about big real estate companies are in my mastermind. You know, course creators that have got global memberships for real high ticket items. Their programs are like 10, 20K. And then finally, Garrett, who runs the mastermind, unmuted and just said, that is just ridiculous value that you're giving away. You're giving away so much value that your audience doesn't even see the value in what you're doing, because they're just getting so much. Even the free content you give away is at a level. And as a consumer, I know this as a marketer. You guys know this as business owners. When you give something away for free, it's got a low entry barrier. For some strange unknown reason, we feel as customers, humans, that it means that, okay, there can't be much to it. It's further than the truth. So in the next coming weeks, and I mean literally like 2 weeks, the price of the program is going to change. There's more where even we're adding into it to really give you some in-depth help with, you know, the technicalities of digital advertising and using different platforms. Playbooks come in, webinars, masterclasses come in, and it's amazing value already. So the price is going up. The price is going up dramatically. It has to. And we want to be able to give our profits back in funding to women as well. Women don't get funded enough. So we're not going to be able to serve our greater cause of having 1 million people globally within our community and being able to fund the businesses that are viable and need to scale if we don't, you know, really start valuing what we do. And the fact that we've validated how great our program is, it's time to put the price up. So what does the program include? So week 1's a foundation. Week 2 is learning and understanding what your revenue growth plan is, looking at what your core offer is, having a makeover for it, understanding what you're offering, having loads of products. Your consumer doesn't know what you do. So they get out of sorts if they don't understand that. Creating a sales map, a detailed strategic map that makes sure you know where you're going and how you're going to get the sales that you need to get the profit, the marketing strategies you're going to use, the financial freedom that you want to have and gain. What's your goal? You have to be working towards something. Just saying, oh, we get it right, or we just need to start making money. Just that, you can't be kinda, shoulda, woulda. You have to be, okay? You know, then it goes into week system, looking at your business systems. You have to have systems in place. Without systems in place, you are not going to survive, you're not going to grow, and you're not going to get into profit. You know, what's your digital business process? Just how we manage ourselves. There's so many tools digitally, how we manage our business, the people in it, our prospects, how we manage our sales funnel. You know, producing automation. What's the procedure? What do I need to do to automate my email series? What technology do I need to do? CRMs. How do I automate my business? How does psychology, my business, my concept, my idea plug into technology? How do I do that to get an online business that works? How do I create a team? How do I delegate? How do I manage? How do I get things done in budget? How do I score? You know, looking at company scorecards, your analytics. Your analytics is what's going to really help you achieve your goals. Your goals should be wrapped around what you need to find out in your analytics and in the data. And if you are not scoring the strategic plan that you've put together, how are you going to make it any better? How are you going to scale? Okay. So by week 12, you're left with a growth scale plan. And in every single lesson, you get worksheets. You know, they're PDF fillable sheets. So at the end of it, you have a Bible. It's a Bible that you're going to keep revisiting in every week lesson and making tweaks and making changes. But when you go to market and you're not getting necessarily all the results that you want, you now have a growth plan that you can go back to. And because you have been scoring and because it is strategic, you can say, do you know what? This bit wasn't done properly. This wasn't validated. The problem's here. The problem's in the aware stage. The problem is in the when they subscribe. The problem is in the core offering. The problem is with the upselling. The problem is me not knowing my audience properly. I'm not connecting with them. You will understand because you've got system automations and a plan. You will get to understand what the problems is that you need to change. So you just keep getting better and growing. So the Empower program is a 12-week program, but you get access to it for a whole year within our membership site that is packed full of loads of bonuses. And some of the bonuses that we've got literally just for the next couple of weeks, they're amazing again. So you become part of a private community. This is all about sisterhood. This is all about raising one another up. We are each other's cheerleaders. When we come together as women, magic happens. This is a community in a place where you get uplifted and supported. Even me as the founder, if you're a coach or a consultant, if you've got an e-commerce store, if there's things that I've already done in my businesses that you need, have them, take them. There's no conflict of interest, because my interest is making sure you get to 6-7 figures. It's nothing else. So if you need something, take it. There's so many things that you will learn from this program that you get to take into your own business as well and use. So there's a number of bonuses within there. There's videos, there's masterclasses, there's books, there's checklists. How to build your 7-figure business, just changing your mindset, just making sure that we're keeping you as healthy as you can be within your mind to make sure you achieve what you need to achieve. And like I said, each lesson comes with a summary playbook. It comes with a worksheet. You also get group coaching with me. So many courses are out there. You listen to them and you just get left. To actually connect with the person that done it and answer questions and to get the results, you're looking at 20 grand, because now these are the prices that I pay on my mastermind. That's another thing. Everything I learn, I bring back into the community. You become part of a private accountability call. Even now there are people struggling. I actually will jump on a call and have one-to-ones with them. You have to do the work. If you turn up and do the work, you'll get the results. But if you're struggling at any point, you need any clarity, me, my team, we are here to help you. Okay. And anybody that does register today, you will get a one-on-one consultation with me. So that's Empower. I'm not actually going to bang on about it much more, if you want me to be honest with you. Like I said, it's a founders members price. So if you're interested, don't procrastinate. I see it all the time, because within the next week or two, you're just going to see it. It's not even going to double. It's going to more than double. It's not even going to triple. It's going to more than triple. Okay. It's and even then, we are still the most competitive price program like ours out there. The program that we deliver is a starting point of about $3,500 upwards of anything to 20. Okay. So we've got a gift for you today. You get £100 off, and it's $297 in case you're wondering. So you get $100 off. So it's a no-brainer price of $197. That will be changing to $997 as we add more components and our founding members' doors are closed. You will be the founding members. The discount code is on the screen. Aria, our community manager, will send you a link to the sales page. There's the code. You get to, it's $297, but you get $100 off. It's an investment in yourself of $197. And just because it's $197 doesn't mean it's some run-of-the-mill, fur coat, no knickers type of course where it's just going to scratch the surface and, get you to explore ideas around branding, explore ideas about your why. This is a serious strategic technical program that's going to get you to be doing things like looking into what are the keywords, what's the research, what are my competitors doing, what's my lead magnet, who's my audience, and do some deep dive work so you can actually come up with a growth plan. You come up with an operating system that's going to get you to grow, a plan that means you can go back and figure out what's going wrong when it's not going right, rather than shooting in the dark. So Aria will put all the details in the chat. They're in there, but just don't procrastinate. I just can't say it enough. I had the unfortunate pleasure of, when I really started to invest in myself and understand the importance of investing in myself, I invested in some real high ticket programs, feeling like that they were going to give me all my answers, answer my prayers, and take me to the place that I needed to be. Always making money my problem, because I had to raise, 10 grand to go on a speakers university course. I had to raise another 5 grand to go on a fully booked course of how do I book people onto my own programs, because I was busy coaching and consulting for other bigger brands. The joke of it is, the programs that helped me the most didn't cost me the ridiculous high ticket ones that, yes, I did learn off, but I had to end up dumping them and figuring out my own why, because they were so driving me to using their formula and being like them. And then on top of it, being an underrepresented women, I'm not like them. Okay. I come from a complete different background as a woman of color. And I'm hanging out in communities where the coaches, the mentors, the people that are helping me do not understand me culturally. They don't understand my shortcomings. They don't understand how I feel. I've got a product and service that targets the same people as me, so they don't understand my audience as well. So that's the reason for Women in Digital Business. It's a place for underrepresented women, whether that is through inequality, whether that's through dialect, language, race, sexuality. It's a place where you're not trying to be like the masses, and you might have an audience that isn't also, and you just want to be understood for who you are, so you can have strategies where people understand your mindset, who you are, and your way of thinking, not you understand them, and then you've got to pay them more money as well. But that's Empower. So, you know, I really look forward to those of you that decide to turn up, show up and join up. I can't wait. I'm really excited at the moment where we are doing the group coaching, the one-to-ones in that prize. I'm just meeting some amazing women. So if all this did was to help you make, to consistently increase your monthly sales, ask yourself, $197, would it be worth it? If all this did was to take the overwhelm of marketing your product or services, would it be worth it? You know, if all it did, if all Empower did was it got you to take action on every lesson of learning more about you, your business, putting a strategic plan together and actually having that feeling. The first time I did this was the first time that I understood what, you know, manifestation was. Me drawing out and understanding my growth plan in the depth that I did, it made me know I'm going to do this. I knew it because I could see it. And that's what the program does. So ask yourself, would it be worth it? And I'm sure you already know the answer to all of this. Right, lovely ladies, I bid you a beautiful and wonderful rest of the week and Wednesday. And I shall see you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.